please introduce yourself and your party, and and then we're gonna, whoever's left, continue.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Missigo. I'm here representing the Libertarian Party of Miami-Dade County. I'm extremely thankful for the faculty and staff, everybody who organizes this event. Too often you guys are presented, and everybody in this country really is presented an image of politics that is, it's binary. You get two choices, and it's ridiculous. They tell you it's a left and right scale, as if literally the scope of human political thought has to be one-dimensional, literally one-dimensional as a line. I'm here to tell you that that's not true, and I'm here to also offer you an alternative. Now, a lot of people will tell you, for different reasons, why you shouldn't bother voting for a third party, why you shouldn't support one. But we've had the same two people bouncing back and forth with very little change. A lot of the things to which I object to mostly, and I think a lot of you people, if you understand it, would object to as well, come from the same two, and they never change. I want you to think about it. Really what the libertarian philosophy is about the question of who gets the power to make a decision. The decisions every day in your life. What can you put in your body? What can you do with your body? What kind of wage can you agree to work for? What kind of wage can you hire someone else for? What can you do on your own property? What can you build on your own property? These questions and more, the question of who should make that decision. Should it be you? Should it be government, maybe in a city council, maybe in Tallahassee, maybe in Washington, D.C., or again, should it be you? The libertarian philosophy is that in basically all those questions, one more, how is your money going to be spent? The money that you earn when you work, how is it going to be spent? Is it going to be taxed and then spent to blow Yemen into the Stone Age for Saudi Arabia? Is it going to be spent turning Libya from the country in Africa with the highest per capita GDP to what it is today with slave markets in broad daylight? Is it going to be protecting the poppy fields to keep heroin production up in Afghanistan? What is your money going to? These are the questions where we believe that it should always be up to you, 100% of the time. These people will tell you that these rules and regulations about all these kind of things, they're for your good, they're for your safety. I want to finish off with just a quote from a great book called The Law by a man named Frederick Bastiat, because I vehemently disagree with that way of thinking. And it says, if the natural tendencies of mankind are so bad that it is not safe to permit people to be free, how is it then that the tendencies of these organizers are always good? Do not the legislators and their appointed agents also belong to the human race? Or do they believe themselves to be made of a finer clay than the rest of mankind? I suggest to you that the people in government are not smarter than you. They don't know you better than you know yourself. They don't know better decisions for you in your life. So the first step in breaking this cycle is rejecting the ideology that says it has to be this or this. Open your mind up, please, I'm asking you, to voting third party and considering a different idea, the idea that the individual knows better than a collective group what should be for that individual. Thank you.
Well, what I would like to ask each of you, 2-minute warning, what do you offer to bridge the gap in America? We all have different ideas, as everyone in this room does, but we're at a point in our trajectory that we're becoming very divisive and we're not moving up, we're just kind of moving into silos. So what do you offer to bridge those gaps? And
plain and simple, I think, is reducing the size and scope of government and its control in your life. If you look at the areas of biggest inequality, you look at how law enforcement treats people in different communities, by race, by level of affluence, by wealth. You look at the school systems, like I said, law enforcement. Government is those areas where you have the greatest disparity. If you go to a Publix in a rich community, a poor community, and a middle-class community, most of the products are the same. It's government where you have this massive divide. And so if you want to bridge a gap, I think one of the things we have to start respecting is individual sovereignty. The fact that each one of us will make different decisions, what we want to do in our lives, what we want to do with our lives, what we want to do. Again, I go back to some of these examples. Me personally, I don't smoke, don't drink, don't do any kind of...
What do you do? You walked into that one.
Just, not much.
Do you know the reference?
Not much interesting.
Okay.
But suffice it to say, just because I don't do something or think it's damaging or whatever isn't a reason to take a young person who decides to do those things, throw them in a cage, and destroy their life. Because even once they get out of the cage.
Okay, time. Unless, of course, it's against the law.
Well, but that's the thing, is the law
Okay.
change.
Well, you know, but I'm saying, in a libertarian, in that thought pattern, it's like, hey, you know, we all do what we want, and we can't. We have to have some consensus that my neighbor cannot build a silo next to me and bring my property value down. I'm just saying. There are things like that when you talk about libertarian, it can go that far. That's what I'm saying. And see how difficult it is for us to find. Yes? Oh, okay. Well, so to that end, what would you offer students? I know, we all know when we were students, unless you came from a background that included politics, unless you were raised like I was, sealing envelopes at 4, and Bill Lucas for governor's office. This is not something that's a part of your life, but what would you offer them to bring them in the party without it having to include a rap artist? Boom.
All right. I don't know that I have necessarily the answer to this. It's a tricky question, and who's got the secret sauce? I see poll after poll every so often that says Americans are dying for an alternative. They want a third party. The Libertarian Party is the third largest party in the United States of America. We've been around since 1971. We're trying. It hasn't always been well done, I should say. I think the party as a whole has failed in reaching out to a lot of communities, failed in delivering an effective message, because I do believe that liberty works. I do believe every individual here recognizes they want to be free to do the things that matter to them. But at times we see a conflict between ourselves and others, and like what you mentioned earlier about your property value. My argument to that would be 2 things. Number one, I don't think it's within the proper role of government to keep your property values up or to raise your property values. I just don't believe that. And secondly, I think that
it's not government that's going to do it. It is going to change. If you want to live in an aesthetically pleasing to you neighborhood, like where everything is, you know, orderly, but then there's a silo next to it. That is not a government function.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
But government assumes, well, then here's the thing. The government assumes this function to say that we're going to protect your, well, not necessarily that the government says that, but the government acts on behalf of the people. You have a community that says, we don't want
that was it. No, stop right there. The government acts on that, on the will of the people.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on. You got, give me 1 second. Because here's the kicker here.
What, you give it 2? She's giving...
Give me 2 sentences.
Okay.
Because the problem here is what happens with affordable housing. A developer or property owner wants to build affordable housing somewhere, and they say, not in my community. We want to keep our property values up. And one of the solutions to one of those big problems is respecting property rights, respecting individual rights.
I can't. Okay, I don't have time. But there is a conversation there.
So you asked.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
I'll let it go.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Norris.
Thank
you, Dr. Howard.
I did want to, I was initially going to chime in with just some fun facts about the fact that Justice Kavanaugh was actually the guy who made Obamacare constitutional by figuring out that the penalty would be a tax. So you can thank Justice Kavanaugh for that not being ruled unconstitutional, who voted along with President Obama's nominee Merrick Garland 93% of the time. Just to give you some context in terms of how well they align, we're getting an image here of that there's opposition when there's, I think, a lot more alignment. But one comment in particular that I really wanted to focus on, and I'll try to be quick. It's a very nice sentiment, and I understand where it comes from, but healthcare is not a right. It's a service. Somebody has to work to provide it for you. A doctor has to go through all this education, and he has to work. He has to analyze it. It's service. It is a service. Medicine is a good. It sounds nice to say it's a right, and I agree everybody should be able to have it. But also the question is, how do you get there? And when you look at what we're doing with the Affordable Care Act, it's we're looking at it too closely and not seeing a bigger picture. We're looking at the byproduct of around a century of trying to regulate the medical industry. Whatever nice reasons there might have been, we wanted people to be safe, or maybe it was rent-seeking, maybe it was something devious. But regardless, we're trying to use government to fix the problems created by government. The poison cannot be the antidote.
Party. 30 seconds. 30 seconds, parting shots. 30 seconds, just do your stump speech. Thank you.
If you're okay with kind of the back and forth that you saw here and the productivity that you see in Tallahassee and Washington, D.C., keep voting Republican or Democrat. Just keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. You want something different, you got to do something different. I'm asking you, as a minimal gesture, go out. If you're not registered to vote, and when you register to vote, or if you already registered to vote, register Libertarian.
Where can we look at if they want more information about the Libertarian Party? Because you're right, it doesn't get the light of day. Where would they go?
LPF.org, LP.org as well. That's the national party and the state party. I know the URL for the county affiliates is a little interesting, but and anybody here wants to come and talk to me after, I'm absolutely happy to help you get registered and/or invite you to our executive committee meetings that we meet every month. We're trying to change things and change the discourse and help understand and expand the conversation, because we're not, so many things we don't get to talk to about here in terms of the loss of life driven by so many things that we're doing, whether it's our criminal justice system overregulating individual behavior or the military-industrial complex. We haven't even touched it.